Hello, everyone. I'm Anderson Cooper, and today is a very, very special day as we will be having a very special town hall with President Joe Biden. Joe, how are you doing today? Well, I'm doing great, Anderson. Let's get these questions on the roll. Okay, great. The first question is from Mara Jane Williams, a mother of three from Newfield, Ohio. Mara? Oh, well, thank you so much, Anderson, and thank you so much, Mr. President, for taking my question. So, as Anderson said, I have three kids that all love to play video games. So recently there was a report that came out that said you yourself play video games, and that was Mario Kart. My question is, why in the world would you pick Luigi as your character in that game? Wow, thank you so much, Marisa, for giving me that great question. That is a very, very tough question. So as you know, I want to make something very, very clear to you and also to the American people. I would have been Princess Peach because women are the best. However, my granddaughter picked Princess Peach before I could, and Mario seems to be a lot popular or more popular, so I decided that Luigi was the only way to go. So I just want to make sure that this is 100% clear with the American people. You would have picked Princess Peach if she was available. Yes, of course. And if I got that what's it called? The blue shell, I would definitely not use it because that would show my privilege. Wow. Once again, that was just an absolute great answer, Joe. Here's our next question from Mark Anderson from Texas. Mark? Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. So, as you know, a cold front has come through Texas, and a lot of people don't have power right now. I was wondering if you could, come to my house and put a log on my fire. What another great question. I'm telling you, Anderson, you got some, you really got some great people out here today, let me tell you. We don't have no dog-faced pony soldiers out here. So as you may have read, I also like to put logs on the fire in the White House and also snuggle up with my two dogs, Champ and Major, every single night before I go to bed at least 5:30. Sometimes it's 4:30, but sometimes Jill keeps me up earlier than I want to. So yes, for you and for everyone in Texas, I will definitely put a piece of wood on your fire. Joe, you are absolutely killing these questions tonight. We have one last question from this guy named the Dockery Docket. Mr. Docket? Yeah, I was seriously just wondering about how you are going to handle the situation in China as they're having a literal genocide against the Uyghur Muslims. And also, I want to ask you to stop lying about the vaccine. It is making us all go absolutely crazy. And also, for the media, quit covering Joe Biden's butt. I'm sorry, but, we have, no more questions for me tonight. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Kyle Dockery with the Dockery Docket. We are here with our very 58th episode of the Dockery Docket. I'm excited to be here, and I hope that you are excited to be here as well. So, it is another week and yet another time where the media is once again driving me and other people absolutely crazy. With this new administration, we can see that the media is 110% on the side of Joe Biden. And whatever he says is the 100% truth, and nothing can change that. And once again, we are starting to see the media writing fluff pieces about Joe Biden. I mean, take a look at this hard-hitting story from Newsweek. Joe Biden beats his granddaughter. Now, when I first read this, I thought, oh my goodness, is she okay? That's a crazy, scandalous story. But then you read on and it says, in Mario Kart, Joe Biden beats his granddaughter in Mario Kart. So, according to this article, during his weekend retreat at Camp David, Biden and his granddaughter Naomi played the racing video game, and he won. Naomi shared a video to Instagram that showed Biden competing against her on the arcade GPDX machines, complete with chairs and steering wheels. Now, I want to make something very, very clear to you all. I'm all for presidents relaxing and having a good time. However, we just had 4 years of the Trump administration, where everything that he did was scrutinized. Headlines like, Donald Trump goes to Mar-a-Lago while people die, were everywhere. And yes, I understand, Donald Trump played golf too much, but there were never fluff pieces about Donald Trump, like the ones that the media are pumping out right now for Joe Biden. Another important, hard-hitting piece from the media that we saw this week was about the routine that Joe Biden has as President of the United States. Apparently, he goes to bed very, very early, and he doesn't watch TV like that evil orange man Trump did. Instead, he reads like a good adult. He also likes to have fires in the Oval Office. It was reported by CNN that he has expressed a preference for a fire built in the Oval Office fireplace, and sometimes adds a log himself to keep it going. His dogs, 2 German Shepherds called Champ and Major, sometimes join him. Aw, isn't that so nice? Once again, I will say, I do not care what CNN or Newsweek writes. We just have to remember that when we learned about Trump's schedule 4 years ago, the media went absolutely nuts after finding out that Donald Trump got 2 scoops of ice cream and everyone else got 1. I'm pretty sure they talked about that for a week or two. Another issue that we continue to have is that whenever Trump or someone else in his cabinet did something relaxing or posted a nice tweet about international relations or something like that, people on Twitter would go absolutely crazy and they would go after them and say that they were responsible for the deaths of Americans. Examples of this can really be seen on Twitter, which is very left-wing to begin with. As there was a tweet from Mike Pompeo a few weeks back talking about how we in America were safer than what we were 4 years ago because of foreign policy that we were implementing. Well, Aaron Ruper, a typical leftist, responded by saying, a 9/11 worth of Americans are dying each day right now, Mike. So a right-wing Twitter user decided to do the exact same thing. Instead, he attacked Joe Biden, using the 2 articles that we talked about at the beginning of this episode. As Stephen Miller posted these 2 articles with the tweet, since Joe Biden took office, 79,000 Americans have died from COVID-19. Think about that. That is 26.5 9/11s. Or 6 World Trade Centers coming down every single day of Joe Biden's presidency. This is shameful. We cannot look away. Of course, Aaron Ruper responded to this by saying that this was really gross. In all honesty, this is not gross. This is what Aaron Ruper was doing to Republican leaders for the past 4 years. What Aaron Ruper should be writing on Twitter right now is thanking Stephen Miller for actually pointing out the hypocrisy and how the media has been treating Joe Biden with kid gloves. My point here is very, very simple. There are important stories about Joe Biden that we should be focusing on, and the media should at least try and treat every president the same. However, they aren't. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. As fact check, Joe Biden and his VP have not been very honest when it comes to the COVID-19 vaccine. Let's first start with Joe Biden's vice president, Kamala Harris, who lied and said that the administration didn't inherit a COVID-19 vaccination rollout plan. She explained that there was no stockpile of vaccines, and she explained that the administration had to start from scratch. This claim was debunked by the flip-flopper himself, Anthony Fauci, that said in a statement, we certainly are not starting from scratch because there is activity going on in the distribution. Now, of course, Fauci, as we have already talked about in the past, can flip on a dime, but as of right now, he is correct. Now, this should be a very easy story for the fact checkers, as they can just say, hey, Kamala Harris said this, and Fauci said that, meaning that either Kamala Harris is lying or the statement is not accurate. However, the fact checkers at the Washington Post and CNN have been absolutely silent. Luckily, Politico came out and labeled Harris's claim as wrong. I mean, I guess we can take that, but these are the same people in the media that counted every single Donald Trump lie. But for this, they just kind of brush it off. Joe Biden was also caught in a similar lie like Kamala Harris, as during the week he had a town hall. His first town hall being the 46th President of the United States. Well, in this town hall, Joe Biden got a little confused, as he claimed that there was no vaccine at all when he and Kamala Harris came into office. Just take a listen to this.
And the biggest thing, though, as you remember, when you and I shouldn't say it that way, as you remember, but when you and I talked last, we talked about it's one thing to have the vaccine, which we didn't have when we came into office, but a vaccinator. How do you get the vaccine into someone's arm?
First of all, Dr. Doofenshmirtz called. He wants his vaccinator back. Some of you might not get that, but it's a Phineas and Ferb reference. Sorry. Second, it is a straight-up lie, or at least not factual, to say that there was no vaccine when Joe Biden came into office, because Joe Biden got his first shot of the vaccine on December 21st, 2020. Then, he got his second shot on January 11th. This means that with both of Joe Biden's shots, Donald Trump was in office, leading to the conclusion that the vaccine was there when Joe Biden took office on January 20th. I mean, this isn't even a debunked Docket episode, but this is just too easy not to debunk. I mean, it's all clear, black and white, clear as crystal. Now, I know what you're thinking. Definitely the fact checkers fact-checked this and said, well, Joe Biden's statement was wrong, or at least false, or that he was lying. Well, sadly, viewers, we live with a Joe Biden presidency, so the media definitely didn't do that. Instead, the media defended Joe Biden. As Glenn Kessler, a fact-checker himself at the Washington Post, wrote on Twitter, it was a verbal stumble, a typical Biden gaffe, as he had already mentioned 50 million doses being available when he took office. A typical Biden gaffe. Give me a break. We all heard the tape. We all know what he said. We all know that this was not a factual statement. And this fact checker should have been able to say, of course this statement wasn't true, and then go on and tell the whole little gaffe line or whatever he says. That would have been more acceptable than covering up for Joe Biden. Now, sadly, we can't get Trump's reaction to this lie from traditional methods like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and all other social media platforms because, of course, Donald Trump was banned from them. However, we have Newsmax to save us. As in an interview with Greg Kelly, Trump explained his frustration by saying, so he was either not telling the truth or he's mentally gone, one or the other. Honestly, I miss Trump so much on Twitter and also on social media, because that would have been an absolutely fantastic tweet. Now Trump and his supporters do need to stand up for this, because we know that if the media and the Biden administration had their way, they would claim that Joe Biden had no vaccine and it was created very fast and everyone was saved. I can imagine a situation where COVID is finally gone, praise the Lord, and Joe Biden makes a big old speech and says something like, we started with absolutely nothing, and now we saved everyone's lives with the vaccine. Honestly, if this happens, don't believe it, because we know the truth. And the truth is, the vaccines were created underneath the Trump administration, and when Joe Biden took office, there were vaccines available for him and the rest of the country. Now, we are definitely not done with the fact checkers not checking the facts, as Joe Biden said something else during this town hall that should seriously scare everyone, as he was asked a question about China and the literal genocide that China is doing to the Uyghur Muslims, as China has put them in re-education camps. Some women have been raped, and some have been killed. It is a terrible situation. Well, this is what Joe Biden had to say about it. Take a listen to this.
I point out to him, no American president can be sustained as a president if he doesn't reflect the values of the United States. And so the idea, I'm not going to speak out against what he's doing in Hong Kong, what he's doing with the Uyghurs in western mountains of China, and Taiwan trying to end the one China policy by making it forceful. I said, and by the way, he said he gets it. culturally, there are different norms that each country and their leaders are expected to follow.
Well, did you hear that? It seriously sounded like he was saying that he doesn't care about the oppression that China has been placing on Hong Kong. He doesn't care about the genocide against the Uyghur Muslims. And he also doesn't care about how Taiwan has been mistreated for too long by China. All because we as Americans don't want to offend China, and because China has different cultural norms. These new norms in China apparently now include systematic torture and rape occurring in concentration camps. These new norms that we are seeing would not be acceptable in the past or any time in the history of the world, but apparently they're okay now. Let's just say, for example, no relation to history at all, but let's just say that there was a man in Germany named, I don't know, Evil Mustache Man, around 1935, just throwing a date out there. Well, let's say America finds out that that country was performing a genocide on a minority group in that country. Then, instead of calling out that country for their terrible actions, including invading other countries and causing brutality everywhere, the President of the United States comes out and says, well, Germany has different cultural norms, and I won't call out Evil Mustache Man or Germany for that. And then, Germany continues to do their terrible actions. Could you imagine if the United States knew about this genocide that was happening in Germany? I can't say the actual name because I might get demonetized. And instead of actually taking action, they did absolutely nothing. And then at the end of the war, we discover how many people actually died. What if this is the situation that happens with the Uyghur Muslims? And once this genocide is over, we find out that millions and millions of people died, and we could have prevented this from happening. Because right now, we have a chance to call out China for what they're doing and make sure that this genocide ends. And sadly, we are not taking that opportunity. Now, I want to make something very, very clear to everyone. I am not comparing Joe Biden to Evil Mustache Man, as I definitely like Joe Biden more. However, the point is, why aren't we calling out China for their human rights abuses? We know that it is happening, as Anthony Blinken, Joe Biden's Secretary of State, has already claimed that the Chinese government is performing a genocide on the Uyghur Muslims. And instead of Joe Biden coming out and saying, hey, we are going to stop them, he sidesteps the questions. And in doing so, millions of people have a chance to lose their lives. Another issue is that the media will carry water for Joe Biden no matter what. And the media will just simply pat him on the head and say, oh, that's good old little Joe. He never says anything controversial. Everyone loves that guy. Instead, they should be criticizing him, as he literally is saying that he doesn't care about any of these terrible things that are happening in China or around the world. We didn't accept genocides in World War II or any other time in history, and it is time that we call out China for their actions. And yes, that means that Joe Biden should call out China for their terrible actions. On to a more happier note, this town hall seriously had so many gems in it, and it is absolutely incredible. There was one moment where Anderson Cooper was talking about if Joe Biden has called any former president, or if they have called Joe Biden. Biden answered by saying yes, and all of them have answered, except for one. Of course this meant Donald Trump. However, the way that Joe Biden said this made it seem like all the former presidents called him. Like Honest Abe rang him up and had a whole conversation with him. This idea really amuses me, because it would be really, really interesting to find out what some of these presidents would have said to Joe Biden. The presidents also really interest me, and it would be really, really cool if someone made videos about the presidents. Maybe talking about their past, maybe talking about the elections. Hey, no, stop, you're not supposed to see that. Anyway, sorry about that. Another moment, Joe Biden claimed that people in the Hispanic community and also the African American community didn't know how to use the internet or how to stand in line. Take a listen to this.
The other portion is a lot of people don't know how to register. Not everybody in the community, in the Hispanic and the African American community, particularly in rural areas that are distant and or inner city districts, know how to get online to determine how to get in line.
Let's just all imagine a Republican saying that. Yeah, that wouldn't have gone over very well. as rightly, people would be calling this a terrible racist attack. And I mean, it kind of is. Claiming that people can't get online in the digital age is kinda crazy. Now, you could possibly say this with the older population who might have trouble getting online because they aren't really used to it. However, the problem is, once again, that we barely heard about these stories on major news networks like CNN. And instead, we get stories about Joe Biden playing Mario Kart, putting wood on a fire, and Joe Biden wearing a scrunchie. It is time for the media to change in this country, and people need to start calling out Joe Biden and the media for their lies. And also, the fact checkers need to check the actual facts correctly, not defend Joe Biden 100% of the time. Sadly, however, there will be huge shoes to fill. As a man that continuously attacked the mainstream media for not reporting the news correctly and also attacked Joe Biden, passed away this week. This was, of course, Rush Limbaugh. As on Wednesday, January 17th, Rush Limbaugh passed away after suffering a long battle with lung cancer. As a conservative myself, this was very, very sad news, as Rush Limbaugh was the one that really helped create conservative radio. And of course, he had an impact on me. I remember when I was younger, my dad would pick me up from school, and sometimes he would have him on the radio. And of course, Rush was going all crazy about some news of the day, and he was very entertaining to listen to and even watch. Now, Rush was just one of my many inspirations that I have when it comes to me talking on the radio about politics, as there are many people that I know locally that have helped me get to where I am today. And I also have other popular inspirations like Ben Shapiro, Steven Crowder, and others. However, I remember when COVID hit and I learned that I would have to record the Dockery Docket inside my house in my own bedroom, and I had the terrible microphone, which was actually my microphone to my Apple headphones. When I was looking for a microphone, I knew that I had to get a gold one, as that was the same color as Rush's. And I still have that microphone to this day, and it makes me love it more and more. Now, of course, the left went absolutely crazy, saying that he was a racist and a terrible person and that he should rot in hell. However, this is just the moderate left for you. Just make sure that you remember that they are the party of unity and love and unity. Even if you disagreed with him on politics, you have to admit that he was a very entertaining person. Many on the left changed their minds about both Rush Limbaugh and also about conservatism after Rush Limbaugh started the Rush Limbaugh Challenge, which was a challenge to have people that may be on the left to actually listen to Rush Limbaugh and see if your opinions changed. So with this inspiration from Rush Limbaugh, I am starting my own Dockery Docket challenge. But this one will be a little bit different than Rush's challenge, because I don't record every single day. The challenge is very, very simple, and I think you will enjoy it. So all you have to do is send the link to the Dockery Docket to one of your friends. They may be a conservative, or maybe not. That's okay. If they respond, then send me either the text message, the DM, or even a post that you might put up on social media. You can send this to me via my social media accounts, which are down in the description down below, but you should already be following them. Anyway, after you send them to me, you'll be entered in to win a grand prize, which may include the Dockery Docket logo. So go, right now, and share the Dockery Docket, and be entered in to win. And until next time, like my mom always says, be good, be kind, be loving, goodbye.